Welcome to U.S. News Source Channel. Explosions on Russian territory resulted in the neutralization of Russian soldiers. Russian military airfield was hit. Russian military airfield in the Saratov region of Russia was attacked. Soldiers at the hit airbase were neutralized. As a result of the powerful explosion in the region, flames rose. Mysterious attacks against Russia are increasing. Simultaneous operations were launched on the southern front of Ukraine. Headquarters of the Russian officers in the south was hit. Nearly 80 Russian soldiers were neutralized. While the experienced Russian soldiers are getting less and less, the untrained soldiers suffer defeats. President of Ukraine Zelensky made important statements about the war. Problems with Russia's defense industry and missile stock are about to erupt. Operations on the fronts are getting more and more intense. Ukrainian armed forces achieve great success thanks to the simultaneous operations on the fronts. Russian army continues in a difficult process for many reasons. It is seen that explosions have started to increase in Russia, especially in recent days. Unless these attacks are claimed by Kiev, it remains a mystery. This time, the sounds of explosions echoed in the Saratov region of Russia again. Military airbase in this area has been attacked before. Several aircraft were reported to have been damaged. Now, strong explosions have been reported at the Engels, 2 Russian military airfield in this region. It was claimed that this military airfield was hit at night by the unmanned aerial vehicles and missiles of the Ukrainian armed forces. Then it was stated that the Russian air defense systems were activated. It has been reported that Russian Tu-95 and Tu-160 strategic bombers are deployed at this airport. Moreover, it was announced that 3 Russian soldiers were neutralized as a result of the attack. This military airfield had been attacked before. Although the attacks on these areas remain a mystery, Russian warplanes are thought to be the reason why the region was targeted. Reason for this may be that Russia turns to air strikes when it is forced. Attacks are aimed at inflicting damage on Russian aircraft. Moreover, it is known that the repair of damaged military equipment is very difficult on behalf of Russia due to the sanctions. These situations cause the military forces of Russia to fall, both in the air and on the ground. At the same time, simultaneous operations on the territory of Ukraine continue. Progress of the operations in favor of Ukraine puts the Russian army under great strain. Mutual action has been taken in the east, north and south of the country in recent days. Fact that the Ukrainian armed forces have sent additional military reinforcements to the eastern front in recent days and carried out record attacks with strong moves has inflicted heavy losses on the Russian army. This situation causes Russia to have suffered the greatest losses in Ukraine on this front. This time, it was reported that 4 self-propelled Tu-C7 Pion guns were destroyed by Ukrainian troops in Donetsk. Equipment of the Russian soldiers fighting at the front is being destroyed day by day and their attack power is being reduced. This could lead to the withdrawal of Russian troops from the east at any moment. It was reported that mutual attacks were launched on the southern front as well. According to the statements, Russian soldiers in the Kherson region again started their attempts to attack infrastructures. As it is known, the Ukrainian forces started an operation on this front and removed the Russian soldiers from the region. Russia, which had to make a decision to withdraw, again targeted the infrastructure of the region. However, it is also known that Russia could not achieve military success with these attacks. Despite this, Russia, which continues such attacks, is losing more ammunition day by day. In response, the Ukrainian army is launching new operations to prevent attacks. Critical Russian military points in the region have started to be targeted again. Ukrainian armed forces targeted the critical point in Kherson. According to the Ukrainian Chief of Staff, Ukrainian troops hit the Russian headquarters in the Zaborin region on this front. Moreover, this headquarters is of great importance as it is a gathering place for the officers of the southern military district of the Russian troops. Serious damage was done as a result of the shooting of this headquarters where the meeting of Russian officers was held. It was also reported that around 70 Russian soldiers were neutralized at this military point. Especially recently, Russian military points on this front have been hit. Reason why these areas were hit is that Russian commanders and experienced soldiers are located at such points. Therefore, attacks against these command and headquarters points have a strategic importance. It is also known that Russia has very few experienced soldiers and suffered serious losses due to inadequately trained soldiers. To remind you, these experienced Russian soldiers have been lost since the beginning of the war due to strategic mistakes. Due to the decreasing number of experienced Russian soldiers and commanders, the day of operation of the Russian army on land began to weaken. These soldiers are still being reduced day by day with accurate moves. This causes inexperienced soldiers fighting at the front to be helpless and suffer major defeats unless they can take command. This situation increases the tension on the Moscow side. However, no solution has been found in this direction. Step of mobilization may become mandatory, but it is seen that this is not a solution for Russia. On the contrary, it increases the losses. Ukrainian President Zelensky also made important statements about this war that has been going on for 10 months. He warned that in the next few days, Russia is likely to launch new attacks. Ukrainian leaders said that Russia's aim is to leave Ukraine in the dark and complicate the situation. He also stated in his remarkable statements that Moscow has exhausted its resources and is trying to compensate for this. Ukraine's president also stated that Russia is proud of its missile attacks targeting its energy sector and stated that Russia will not succumb to its dark purpose. Be prepared for any eventuality. Zelensky also warned of airstrikes in the coming days, and stated that it was necessary to go to the nearest invincibility centers when necessary. It is stated that these areas have been opened more than 5,000 in the country. In the coming days, more help should come in order to prevent the attacks of the Russian army. In the course of the war, all kinds of military and financial support from countries have a much more critical importance. For this, the military support to be sent should be increased and continued. As it is known, Russia has been sanctioned by many Western countries because of the war it started in Ukraine. After the sanctions against Russia, the functioning of Russia in many aspects became difficult and deteriorated. After the war, Russia's defense industry also became a big problem. Russia began to be unable to produce as many weapons as it could before. Because he could not supply the parts he needed from Western countries due to sanctions. For this reason, it is known that he has stock problems. After the massive missile attacks on the territory of Ukraine, Russia's missile stock decreased significantly. Ukrainian Air Force spokesman Yuri Inat announced that Russia's missile production is in operation. Inat stated that Russia is working on the Kalibr, Iskander and Kh-101 missiles. However, he emphasized that Russia could not produce these missiles as quickly as they launched. He also explained Russia's dwindling threat of massive missile strikes. At the moment, it is estimated that Russia has enough stock to launch 2 to 3 large missile attacks. However, in response, he emphasized that Ukraine should not relax and that Russia still has a strong potential and many warplanes. Russia still has a significant military power, but Ukraine is getting stronger every day to neutralize Russia's attacks with the air defense systems it receives from Western countries. In this war that has been going on for almost a year on the territory of Ukraine, Russia does not have the old defense industry production rate and the stock as before. However, Ukraine also suffered a lot of damage in this process. While this war in Ukraine will fill almost a year, it is surprising that there is still no development towards the end of the war. In the long run, the most important situation that will determine the fate of the war will be the relations with the countries. Because it is critical to replace the military equipment and ammunition depleted in a protracted war. Now every step taken is much more important. We'll see what happens in the next few days. We have reached the end of another video. You can support us by liking the video. You can easily follow new videos by subscribing. I wish you all a war-free day. See you.